If you are an executive, a CEO, a founder, and you have trouble letting go of certain responsibilities because, people frustrating you and not getting the job done, you have to watch this episode. It is all about how to let it go, to let it grow.
Hey there, and welcome to Be Unmessable with the podcast. I'm Josselyne Herman-Saccio, your host, and today is all about turbo tips on how to be unmessable with. So let's look at a topic today, which is about letting go. Letting go of what? Letting go of control. Control seems like something that's good, like, oh, I'm in control, I have control. But honestly, control is a limiter. It actually serves as a lid or a constraint to what can be possible. So if you can start to think of control constraint synonymously. As leaders, we often fall into the trap of thinking that no one can execute our vision better than us, right? And it's easy to believe that holding on to every detail is the only way to ensure success. It's like, oh, I'm not controlling, I'm just quality managing. That's why they call it quality control, right? But the truth is that that mindset of control and not letting go can stifle not only your team's growth, but your business's growth and your growth as well. So we want to talk about why letting go matters and how to do it effectively and how it can transform your business and your leadership. So let's begin with why letting go is so hard for most people. And if you're like most leaders, you're passionate about what you do. You've put your heart and soul and sweat into building something meaningful for you. So, of course, it feels risky to hand over the reins to someone else or the control to someone else. But here's the thing, trying to control everything unintentionally creates bottlenecks. I often say this to the entrepreneurs and founders and CEOs that I work with, but you're the bottleneck in your business. You're the limiter or the lid. If every decision has to go through you, if every problem lands on your desk, and let's face it, there are just so many hours in the day, you become the clog in the pipe, so to speak. So, even worse than that, when you micromanage at that kind of a level, it sends a message, and it's not even that subtle, a message to your team that you don't trust them. And when people feel like they aren't trusted, they stop taking initiatives and really creating their job, and they just execute what they're expected to execute because they know that any kind of creativity is going to be like smashed down by the controlling forces that be, namely you, right? Creativity drops, innovation fades, and morale becomes like non-existent. And really that is when people start to suffer from burnout, and people start to quit or quiet quit. But here's the good news. Okay, that sounds all very bad, but the good news is letting go doesn't mean you care less. In fact, it's the opposite. It means you're committed to empowering your team and creating a culture of trust and accountability. So let's talk about the power of letting go or of delegation, because delegation is not just about handing off tasks to people, right? It's about creating a system where your team feels empowered to take ownership and make decisions. When your team feels trusted, amazing things start to happen. They become more proactive, more creative, more innovative, and more engaged for sure. And oftentimes they'll come up with solutions that you wouldn't have even thought of because they're bringing a fresh perspective to the table. So I do get it though. Letting go is easier said than done. So how do you actually do it in a way that sets your team up for success? So I'm going to give you 5 actionable steps to letting go. One is you got to design clear systems. Structure is everything when you start to let go of things and delegate. When your team knows exactly what's expected of them, then they can operate with confidence. So you want to take the time to define the roles, the responsibilities, the processes, what a finished product will look like for you in terms of you being satisfied with the finished product. So you got to think of it like building a strong foundation for a house. Once that's in place, you can trust that everything else is going to stand firm on it. The second step is to communicate your vision. One of the biggest mistakes that leaders make is assuming that their team automatically understands the why behind their work. Don't just tell people what to do, help them see the bigger picture. When your team understands your vision or the context behind the tasks, then they're more likely to make decisions that align with that vision or align with your goals. Step 3, empower your team. What does that mean? This is big. You've got to give your team the freedom to make decisions. You can provide guidance, yes, but you've got to resist the urge to just step in and take over. It really emasculates them, no matter what gender they are. And empowering them creates accountability, and accountability fuels innovation and creativity, which is what you want in your team. You want an atmosphere of accountability and innovation and creativity. Step 4, you got to trust the process. This is probably the toughest part, because once you've set your team up for success in terms of their roles and responsibilities and, their freedom to make decisions, you've got to actually trust them to deliver. Now, are they going to make mistakes? Of course they are. It's inevitable. But if you create an environment where mistakes are seen as opportunities to learn and implement what's missing, then your team will grow stronger and more capable with every challenge. I mean, can you imagine if, Michael Jordan got on the basketball court and, if he were to miss a layup, that was it, the game was over, and his coach came in and played for him? That would be absurd, right? No, that's the opportunity to see, oh, I've got to tweak my wrist this way, or I've got to bend my knees this way. So the same thing will happen when you start to cultivate this atmosphere of performance, using the breakdowns or the mistakes as an opportunity to correct and implement what was missing that'll make a difference for the next round. And then the fifth thing is your focus. So focusing on coaching, not controlling, is a big thing in this recipe for a high performance team. You shift your role from doling out tasks, being the task master, to being a coach. So your job is to guide them, to support them, to provide feedback, not to do the work for them. When that you believe, or when they know that you believe in them, they are going to rise to the occasion. But, Pat Riley's not going to go in and play the game for the players. His job is to point in a direction, point out what will make a difference, support, give feedback, guide. That's your job as a leader. And to keep the vision alive, because as a leader, you're a visionary. So now what would be the payoff of doing all of this? Well, when you let go of control, you free yourself to focus on what really matters, the bigger picture. Your juices of creativity and innovation get unleashed because you're not managing down and in. You're focused up and out on your vision and fulfillment. So instead of getting bogged down in the day-to-day details, you can focus on long-term strategy, vision, innovation, and building the kind of relationships that are going to help fulfill everything that you're creating. Meanwhile, your team gains confidence, autonomy, and the ability to thrive. So it's really a win-win for everybody. It's a win for you, it's a win for your team, and it's a win for your clients for sure. So let's not forget also about the culture that you're creating by doing this. When you trust your team, you foster an environment of respect and collaboration. People feel valued, that they're more invested in their work and in your business, quite honestly. It becomes a breeding ground for fresh ideas and exponential growth. I mean, you could really see the parallels in a relationship. If you're in a romantic relationship and you don't trust the person, that relationship is doomed for failure and suffocation. So trust really allows for a whole new culture to emerge in your team and in your company. Letting go isn't about doing less, so that you're eating bonbons on the beach. I mean, unless that's what you want to do, but I don't even know what a bonbon is, but it's about empowering more, not doing less. It's about more empowerment, creating the conditions for your team and for your business to reach the heights that you can't achieve by yourself. That's the essence of true leadership. As a true leader, you allow leadership to emerge in your environment, not just doing it all. So here's my challenge to you this week. Identify an area where you're holding on too tightly. It could be a project, maybe it's a decision or even a conversation that you've been micromanaging. Take a step to delegate or empower someone else and notice the experience for yourself and for them. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to Be Unmessable With. And if today's episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend, a colleague, someone who could use a little inspiration to let go and lead with trust. And as always, please rate, review, and email me if you have any feedback on the episode or what you discover out of taking on the challenge if you take it on. I respond to every email. It's Joss at the Art of Being Unmessablewith.com, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining us in this episode of Be Unmessable with the podcast. And I never take for granted that you spend time with me. So I wanted to make sure that I gave you a gift, as I usually do after every episode. And if you would like to learn how to hack your reactions and shift over to the world of creation in an instant, in a reliable step by step process, you can download my free hack system that will take you out of being stuck and put you right into action. Enjoy.